Oh, I jumped immediately. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My sweet little papa come. Oh my gosh. Guys, my body and my mind has been dedicated to cheese. Squishmallow! What's Squishmallow? I need to move. Oh my god. Why would you do that to me? What did I do? What does he look like? I have to turn that off because it's Warrior Cat Wednesday. Lapsol? No. Group? Disabled. He looks like a red dragon. Aww. That's cute. I have a lot of squishmallows. Maybe not that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5? 5 squishmallows? Before I found out their company was mean. Ah! Guys, I have like my when I'm at work, I wear these like knee braces, knee protect something. And when I take them off, they're so itchy. Also, oh my goodness gracious, I have no brain right now. I hope so badly that I'm gonna get used to the job and it won't take as much out of me as it is currently. Cause like I'll get home from work and I'll need to like sit for like 2 hours or more and do nothing, like brain dead nothing. But then by that time after, it's like late again and I can't stay up that late because I do still wake up early because I work with the cheese room now. So that's... And then my brain hurts because I have to learn so much stuff. So I'm like processing a bazillion things. Processing. That's where I'm at. Ooh, congrats! On whatever that is. It kind of looks like a fancy teapot. Anyway, so... I think Warrior Cat Wednesday will be nice. Because I don't have to think. I just have to read. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read Warrior Cats today. Yes, we're gonna read Warrior Cats. We're on chapter 14 of this book. Previously was like 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, maybe? I didn't read it last week, and I don't think I read it the week after that. I actually don't remember. Either way, it's been a while. What happened? The rogues. So, full explanation. This is good for my memory recall, probably. So Twig Kit and Violet Kit were separated to 2 different clans, Shadow Clan and Thunder Clan. Shadow Clan was much worse. They treated Violet Kit very poorly, very unwanted. It was quite depressing. Meanwhile, Twig Kit was thriving. Alderpaw, who were, I guess, is the main protagonist of this series. He was the first person we were in the POV of. He's a medicine cat in training. He's the one who received the prophecy that they think that Twig Kit and Violet Kit are both part of, and that's why they're special, and that's why they decided to split them into 2 clans, because it wasn't fair, according to the other cats, that ThunderClan get both of the prophecy kittens. So they divided them. So yeah, stuff happened. They were really sad. Then the rogues. So in the first book, there were these. The first book, Alder got some sad stuff. Yeah. In the first book, Alderpaw, who's our main protagonist, he had a prophecy about like saving Sky, or like something. The shadows will save the Sky, implying Sky Clan. And so he went on a super secret mission to try and track down Sky Clan. But when they got to where Sky Clan used to live, they found out that rogues had taken over. And they gave up and they went back. Unfortunately, those rogues followed them all the way home. And now they are currently living outside of ThunderClan and ShadowClan territory, kind of just living their life. I don't know. Violet Kit got really close to Needlepaw, who was also on that original quest, and kind of has the hot stuff for one of the rogues. And so because of that, Violet Kit was taken with Needlepaw when the rogues came, because Needlepaw was like, ShadowClan sucks, actually. And she left to join the rogues, and a bunch of other apprentices, and I think maybe a warrior or 2 also left to join the rogues. So ShadowClan's kind of falling apart right now. They also don't really have a medicine cat, because Leafpool was taken from ThunderClan to train ShadowClan's new medicine cat, because the previous medicine cat died without taking on an apprentice. So they're kind of like starting from scratch kind of deal. Pretty rough. Months went by. Twig Kit is now Twigpaw. She finds out that actually there was ages ago, there was supposed to be a patrol to go look for their mom, or her mom, and she found out that actually that was a fake, that was a cover-up. Nobody was actually looking for their mom, so their mom could technically be alive. She got upset that nobody thought it was a big deal. She went to go find Violet Kit. She found Violet Kit with the rogues, who is now Violet Paw, and Violet Paw was like, why are you even here? Like, you waited like 5 months to come talk to me because you wanted to tell me about this, what? And Twigpaw was like, oh, sorry. And then Violet Paw was like, actually, this is a pretty big wake-up call for me. I'm gonna ditch the rogues and go back to ShadowClan and ask them if I can join their clan again. And at first, they were kind of hesitant, but then they're like, no, that sounds fine. And that's where we're at. Oh. She did sneak out of the rogue, so technically the rogues think she's missing. Or something like that. I also have some penne and sun-dried tomato salad that I'm eating right now. Okay. Cash read. This is also my first Warrior Cat Wednesday with my new microphone. my less good microphone. If you're new to Warrior Cat Wednesdays, I might just sort of read. If someone says something in chat, I may or may not reply. If there's a raid, I'll reply. And yeah. Sit back, relax, do some chores, lurk, play video games. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I think it's hilarious to come in and listen to a Warrior Cat stream when you have absolutely no idea what's going on, because it's hilarious. It's like, wow, what's going on? You're thrown right into the action. All right. Chapter 14. Now that she'd been accepted back into ShadowClan, Violet Paw was determined to show what a helpful cat she'd become. She rose early each day to fetch fresh bedding for the elders before Dawn Pelt took her out for training. She was always last to take prey from the pile at the end of a long day's hunt. When Dawn Pelt was busy, she would help Puddleshine gather herbs. The last time she'd seen him, Puddleshine had still been an apprentice, but he'd been given his full medicine cat name when Leafpool had returned to ThunderClan. Violet Paw liked helping him. He was always friendly, although he seemed anxious in his role as the clan's medicine cat, and a little overwhelmed by the daily worries of keeping his clan healthy. Her time with the rogues had made her a good hunter, and Dawn Pelt was impressed with her skills. Violet Paw didn't dare explain that Needletail had trained her. She hardly mentioned Needletail or the others, even when her clanmates asked about them. Rowanstar had pressed her for information about the rogues, but Violet Paw had refused to answer in any detail, saying only that as long as Darktail was leader, they were no threat to the clan. She'd heard Darktail say that he had no wish to take over ShadowClan territory, and she hoped it was true. Eventually, Rowanstar stopped asking. The whole clan stopped asking, and she knew that she had earned their grudging respect for refusing to betray her former campmates. She'd even heard Kinkfur talking to Ratscar one evening as she'd padded wearily to her den. If she won't betray them, then she won't betray us. Of course, some of her clanmates didn't trust her yet. Snowbird and Scorchfur watched her through narrowed eyes. Spikefur barely spoke to her. Pine Nose acknowledged her with polite nods but kept her distance. At least Yarrowleaf and Strikestone were friendly enough, content to share prey with her at the end of the day. She missed Needletail, and guilt jabbed in her belly every time she thought of her friend. Keeping busy helped her not think about what she'd left behind. It also stopped her wondering about Twigpaw and their mother. Could Twigpaw be right? Could their mother still be alive? Perhaps she should have gone with Twigpaw when she'd asked. Violet Paw pushed the questions away and made herself busy each time they popped into her thoughts. Today, rain dripped through the canopy as she woke. She heard it from inside the cozy apprentice's den and fluffed out her fur before nosing her way into the clearing. The rest of the clan was still sleeping as she padded quietly across camp. Weak dawn light hardly showed through the clouds as she tried to think of a sheltered patch of bracken where she could gather dry stems for the elders' bedding. Puddleshine padded from the medicine den. Worry clouded his gaze. "What's wrong?" Violet Paw hurried towards him, her paws squelching under the muddy ground. She glanced past him towards the medicine den entrance. She knew Wasptail and Oakfur were inside, sick with a mysterious illness. Are they worse? I don't know what to do. Puddleshine paced, oblivious to the rain soaking his fur. I've tried every herb I know. I thought it was green cough, but catmint hasn't helped. Tansy uses their breathing for a while, but their fever is getting worse, and nothing seems to help. Can I help? Violet Paw offered. I can fetch more herbs. Don't you hear me? Herbs aren't working! Puddleshine stared at her, panic glittering in his gaze. I don't know what to do. Speak to Rowanstar, Violet Paw urged, wishing she had something better to suggest. Perhaps he's seen the illness before. He might know what Little Cloud used to do. Puddleshine blinked at her gratefully and headed for the leader's den. Violet Paw followed, shaking rain from her pelt. "Rowan Star!" Puddleshine called softly through the entrance. A husky growl sounded from the shadows. "Who is it?" "It's me, Puddleshine." The young medicine cat stepped back as Rowan Star slid from his den. The Shadow Clan leader's eyes were bleary with sleep. His fur was unkempt, and he stared listlessly at Puddleshine. "What do you want?" "I don't know how to cure wasp tail and oak fur," Puddleshine confessed. "I've tried everything I know, but none of it works." "I thought they had green cough," Rowan Star grunted. "Give him catmint." "Catmint isn't working. It must be another illness, one I don't know." Puddleshine looked frantic. Rowan Star's pelt prickled irritably along his spine. "You're the medicine cat," he growled. "Why are you asking me?" Violet Paw patted closer. "He thought you might have seen the illness before," she told him. "He hoped you'd know what to do." "Little Cloud took care of the sickness." Rowan Star blinked at her crossly. "Perhaps we should ask a more experienced medicine cat," Violet Paw ventured. "Perhaps Leafpool could come and help again. I can go fetch her now." "No!" Rowan Star's eyes flashed with anger. "We're not asking ThunderClan for help." "But she trained me," Puddleshine argued. "You didn't mind asking for help then." "I had no choice." "We have no choice now," Puddleshine pressed. "We can't let Wasptail and Oakfur get sicker. Oakfur is old. I don't know if he can survive much longer. And what if the sickness spreads? I have to know what to do." "Try other herbs." Rowan Star fluffed out his pelt against the hardening rain. He turned and slunk back into the shelter of his den. Puddleshine stared after him, eyes round. "I've tried everything I know," he mewed thickly. "I could slip out of camp and fetch Leafpool anyway." "Anyway," Violet Paw mewed softly. "No." Puddleshine shook his head. "Rowan Star would be angry." "But you need help." Puddleshine gazed at her wearily. "I'll just keep giving them the herbs I've got and hope they improve." He wandered away, lost in thought. "Perhaps if I mix tansy, coltsfoot, and borage." His voice trailed away as he neared his den. Violet Paw stared after him, wondering how to help. "I'll suggest to Dawnpelt that we spend the day gathering herbs." Dawnpelt agreed, and through the wet morning, she and Violet Paw gathered bundles of tansy, coltsfoot, and borage. Puddleshine had shown them springs from the store in his den, and soon Violet Paw could trace the scent of them from several fox lengths away. "Hi, Juice Box!" At sunhigh, they headed back to camp, their jaws filled with herbs. Violet Paw felt dizzy from the heady fragrances as she padded through the entrance tunnel. She blinked through the rain. Scorchfur, Crowfrost, and Tawny Pelt were gathered at the entrance to Rowan Star's den. Tigerheart hurried to join them. Violet Paw could tell by their rippling pelts that something was wrong. She glanced at Dawnpelt. Her mentor's eyes flashed with worry. She must have seen them too. Together, they raced across camp. Violet Paw dropped her bundle of herbs as Tawny Pelt turned and stared at her, alarmed. "What's happened?" "Rowan Star's not well." Tawny Pelt's eyes glittered with worry. She glanced at the mouse at her paws. "I took him some prey, but he won't wake up. He must be really sick." Hoarse coughing sounded from inside the den. Scorchfur backed away. "He sounds like Wasptail and Oakfur did." Crowfrost straightened, his gaze hardening. "Fetch Puddleshine," he told Violet Paw. Violet Paw turned and raced for the medicine den. She burst in, gagging as the stench of sickness swept over her. Wasptail and Oakfur wheezed in their nests, their fur matted, their muzzles dripping. Puddleshine was dozing beside a pile of herbs. He jerked his head up and blinked at her. I was just taking a nap," he mumbled. Violet Paw stiffened with alarm. "Are you sick too?" Puddleshine scrambled to his paws. "No, just tired." "You've been working hard," Violet Paw sympathized. "But we need you. Rowan Star is—" She stopped. Puddleshine was staring at her as though he hardly saw her. Stars seemed to sparkle in his faraway gaze. She tipped her head, anxious. Perhaps he was sick? "Are you sure you're okay?" Puddleshine blinked, his attention flashing to her. "I'm fine." He pushed past her eagerly. She followed him into the clearing, surprise sparkling through her fur. What was wrong with the medicine cat? Why was he acting so strangely? Bro probably just saw a vision. Crowfrost! Puddleshine slid to a halt in front of the deputy, his pelt glittering as rain caught in his fur. I had a dream! He sounded jubilant. Starclad has finally shared dreams with me. Crowfrost stared at the young Tom, his ears flicking. What was it? The sickness is called yellow cough. Weird. Runny Nose came and led me to Starclad's hunting grounds. He told me what to do. Puddleshine spoke fast. There's a herb called lungwort. It grows on the moor. Its leaves will cure our clanmates. Yellow cough. Yuck. Yuck. They have they have white cough, green cough, and now yellow cough. The new edition. Oh no, guys, I have to use the bathroom. I have to pee so bad. Okay, hold on. I'm back. Phew. Should have went before stream, but you know how it is. I'm gonna thank you. I'm gonna put away my sun-dried tomato salad. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it just surprises you. It comes out of nowhere. Sorry. That happens to me a lot. And then people are like, why didn't you pee earlier? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't have to pee then. And they're like, but you had to pee so badly now. And I was like, I know. It just happens. You just get that rash. Okay. Also, I did forget to give my usual disclaimer of I haven't read in like 2 weeks out loud, so I'm probably going to be stumbly, and I have been stumbly. Exactly! Huff, huff. Okay. There's a herb called lungwort. It grows on the moor. Its leaves will cure our clanmates. Crowfrost lifted his tail. Did he show you what it looks like? Yes! Puddleshine nodded excitedly. Good. Crowfrost glanced towards Rowan Star's den. Our leader is sick. Puddleshine ducked inside, darting out a few moments later. He glanced around his clanmates. His gaze clouded with worry. Do any of you know what Tansy looks like? I do. Donpelt nodded towards the bundle of herbs at her paws, and coltsfoot, and borage. Of course, Puddleshine mewed, as though only just remembering he'd shown her what they looked like earlier that morning. Chew equal parts into thick pulp and try to get Rowan Star to swallow it. It won't cure him, but it will help his symptoms until I can get back with the lugwort. Puddleshine turned towards the entrance. Wait! Crowfrost blinked through the rain at the medicine cat. You're needed here. I'm the only one who knows what lugwort looks like. Puddleshine stared at the deputy. Crowfrost hesitated, then nodded towards Tigerheart. Go with him. You too, Scorchfur. Violetpaw stiffened in surprise as Crowfrost's gaze flickered to her. And you. Joy fizzed in her paws. Crowfrost trusted her enough to send her on an important mission. Scorchfur frowned. Tawnypelt should come instead of her. He scowled at Violetpaw. Tawnypelt can be trusted. Crowfrost scowled. So can Violetpaw. Scorchfur grunted. Hurry! Puddleshine headed for the entrance. We mustn't waste time. Crowfrost flicked his tail towards the medicine cat. Go with him. Violetpaw bounded across the wet clearing, Tigerheart at her tail. Scorchfur raced past her, kicking up mud as he passed, and ducked out of camp. As Violetpaw followed them, Tigerheart called from behind. I'll lead. I know the quickest route. He pulled past Violetpaw, Scorchfur, and Puddleshine, heading for the ditches. As he reached each one, he leaped it in turn. Violetpaw raced behind him, one eye on Puddleshine as she cleared the gashes in the forest floor. The medicine cat was nimble, making the jumps with ease. As the ground smoothed ahead, she glimpsed light. They were nearing the edge of the forest. Tigerheart broke from the trees first. Violetpaw followed, narrowing her eyes against the driving rain. As she left the shelter of the pines, she dodged a bramble, her paws slithering on the wet grass as she hurried towards the lake. She could see the two-leg half-bridge reaching into the water. Beyond it, a stretch of meadow led to the lower slopes of the moor. Tigerheart! A loud yowl sounded from behind the patrol. Violetpaw looked back. A ThunderClan cat was calling from the border. She could just make out the shape on the shore. Dovewing. Another cat was with her. She strained to see. Twigpaw! Her heart leaped. Did her sister know she'd left the rogues and returned to ShadowClan? Has she come here to see me? She thought, with a pang of guilt about their last meeting, when she'd refused to help Twigpaw search for their mother. Had Twigpaw gone alone? Had she found her? Dovewing paced the scent line, staring eagerly at the ShadowClan patrol. Did they have news? Violetpaw turned to Tigerheart. The Tabbytown was still charging towards the Windcan border. He couldn't have heard Dovewing's call. Wait! She yowled. Tigerheart pulled up and turned to stare at her. What? Twigpaw and Dovewing! She jerked her muzzle towards the ThunderClan cats. Scorchfur and Puddleshine stopped. So what? Scorchfur's wet pelt bristled. Hi, Catty. Bye, Catty. Tigerheart seemed to be avoiding looking at the ThunderClan cats. We don't have time. Let them wait until the next gathering to chat. Violetpaw itched with frustration. She wanted to speak to Twigpaw. Puddleshine whisked his tail. We should warn them about the illness, he mewed. It spreads quickly. They should know. Violetpaw's heart leaped as the medicine cat bounded towards the ThunderClan border. Growling impatiently, Tigerheart raced after him. Scorchfur rolled his eyes. Medicine cats have no sense. Violetpaw hardly heard him. She chased after Tigerheart, wind streaming through her fur. Worn Leaf Pool. Puddleshine was already talking to Dovewing by the time she caught up, the young medicine cat's eyes glowing with pride. But tell her I know which herb cures it. Tell her I had a dream from StarClan. Twigpaw stared at her paws, a tail length behind Dovewing. Look at me. Desperately, Violetpaw tried to catch her sister's eye. Did you look for our mother? Twigpaw was acting as though Violetpaw wasn't there. Was she still angry? Or perhaps she was ashamed she hadn't found their mother. It's okay. I knew there wasn't much chance. I'm sorry I didn't help you. She swallowed back the words, her paws hot with frustration. Devling was eyeing Tigerheart. Thanks for sharing this with us. It was good of you to stop. Tigerheart fluffed out his fur. It was Puddleshine's idea, not mine. Devling returned his gaze coolly. We thought it was strange to see a Shadow Clan patrol heading towards Wind Clan territory. We thought something might be wrong. Well, there is, and now you know. Tigerheart turned away briskly. Twigpaw? Violetpaw twitched her ears hopefully, but Twigpaw carried on staring at her paws, her tail flicking restlessly. She clearly wasn't going to talk. Come on, Violetpaw! Tigerheart. I lost my place. Tigerheart's urgent mew called her away. Violetpaw threw a last pleading glance at Twigpaw. I'm sorry, she murmured before turning to race after the others. Tigerheart and Puddleshine had already reached Scorchfur and were headed for the Wind Clan border. She glanced over her shoulder. Twigpaw was staring after her. Hope flickered in Violetpaw's chest. If Twigpaw was watching her, she must care. We'll talk soon. She hoped she'd be able to keep her silent promise. There was so much to talk about, but there was no time to worry about it now. Scorchfur had already leaped over the stream that cut between Clan land and the moor. She pushed harder against the wet grass, closing the gap. Her lungs were burning as she caught up to the patrol. The grass felt coarser as brambles gave way to healthier... What? Grass felt coarser as brambles gave way to healthier, which grew thicker and thicker as the slopes steepened. Oh, I guess that's just a weird sentence. Wind whipped the rain harder against Violetpaw's pelt. She was relieved as the heather closed around them, and she found herself chasing Scorchfur through a narrow gap, rough stems closing in on each side. The trail twisted one way, then the other. She breathed in the sweet scent of peat and a sour smell she didn't recognize. She'd never been on the moor before. Suddenly, the heather opened into a wide stretch of gorse. Oh, Dizzy! Hi, Dizzy! Suddenly, the heather opened onto a wide stretch of grass. Gorse swayed on one side, and above she saw the top of the moor, arched like a spine against the glowering sky. Tigerheart slowed, Scorchfur beside him. Puddleshine eased his pace and glanced across the slope as though scanning for lugwort. Can you see any? Violetpaw pulled up beside him. Hush! Tigerheart's hiss made her jump. The tabby tom had halted and was staring at the bank of heather ahead. It rocked in the wind. Violetpaw narrowed her eyes, suddenly wary. Tigerheart was tasting the air. Wind Clan cats, he warned. Scorchfur shifted beside her. Violetpaw blinked at Tigerheart. They'll understand why we came, won't they? Of course they will. As Puddleshine padded forward, his ears pricked eagerly, 3 Wind Clan warriors emerged from the heather. Violetpaw stiffened. Hostility shone in their eyes. The largest tom's hackles were up. Puddleshine halted and glanced nervously at Tigerheart. Don't worry. The Shadowclad Tom stepped in front of the medicine cat and faced the Wind Clan patrol. What are you doing here? The dark gray Tom flattened his ears threateningly. Oh my god, it's Crowfeather. Hi, Crowfeather. Tigerheart stood his ground and mewed briskly. We've come on a herb gathering mission. It's urgent. A black Tom with amber eyes padded closer, showing his teeth. Wait, Breezepelt, Crowfeather cautioned. Wait for what? Hissed the third Tom. His tabby fur was plastered to his lithe frame by the rain. We should chase them off our land. Not yet, Leaftail. Crowfeather padded closer and stopped a muzzle length from Tigerheart. First, we're gonna take them to One Star so they can explain themselves to him. Spite glittered in his gaze. Tigerheart lifted his chin. I'll be happy to talk to One Star. I'm sure he'll understand why we came. Crowfeather and Leaftail exchanged glances. Was that amusement in their eyes? Violet Paw suddenly felt cold. Puddleshine seemed unaware of the menace in the air. He blinked at the Wind Clan warriors. Are we going to your camp? His eyes lit up. Good, I need to speak with Kessler Flight. Crowfeather's whiskers twitched. I doubt you'll be doing much talking, he meowed darkly. Violet Paw's belly tightened with foreboding as the Wind Clan warrior flanked them and began to guide them along the slopes. They crossed the moor until she saw a dip surrounded by gorse. Crowfeather led them into a gap in the thick green wall and ducked through it. Violet Paw followed Scorchfur and Tigerheart, Puddleshine at her tail. The tunnel opened into a wide stretch of grass, heather clustered at the edges, backed by thick gorse. Small, sleek cats slid from dens and stared at them as the patrol marched them across the clearing. Their eyes sparkled nervously. Violet Paw's heart quickened. Tension hung in the air as though thunder was coming. She padded closer to Puddleshine, comforted by the touch of his flank against hers. One Star was sitting on a wide, flat rock at the end of the clearing. His gaze sharpened as he saw them. He leaped onto the grass and stood motionless as they approached. Violet Paw blinked at him, her throat tightening. Was this how the rogues had felt when they'd first entered the Shadow Clan camp? She doubted they'd been as scared. Rowan Star was stern, but his gaze had never felt as icy as One Star's. Her fear intensified when the Wind Clan leader looked right at her, nostrils flaring.
What is she doing here?
Crowfeather looked confused as he stopped in front of One Star. We caught them inside our border. Fury flashed in One Star's eyes, turning ice into fire in a moment. He lashed his tail in her direction.
This one's a rogue. She lived among the same cats who killed Furspelt.
Violet Paw stiffened with fear. The Wind Clan leader's pelt spiked along his spine.
How dare you, he hissed. Get her off my territory before I take my revenge.
Tigerheart stepped backwards, and Violet Paw saw the two warriors' claws curl into the grass as though preparing for a fight. She tried to back up as well, but hit a wall of tawny fur, thick with Wind Clan scent. Cats padded closer on every side. The gorse hemmed them in. Her paws trembled. They were trapped.
Hi, Bess.
Hear me out. Violet Paw is a Shadow Clan cat now. She poses no threat. Tigerheart said in a steady voice. One Star snarled.
Make it quick.
Tigerheart glanced at Puddleshine, whose gaze was frozen on One Star. Violet Paw could smell his fear. Tigerheart said quickly, 3 of our clanmates are ill with a sickness we've never seen before. StarClan sent Puddleshine a dream telling him which herb would cure it. They told him that he must gather it on the moor. One Star narrowed his eyes into slits. I don't care what StarClan told him. No Shadow Clan cat crosses into Wind Clan land. Tigerheart's tail twitched and Violet Paw guessed he was angry, but he replied calmly. We mean no harm, but we can't let our clanmates die.
Thanks, Rabbit.
One Star snorted. And yet, you shelter the rogues who killed my clanmates. He glared again at Violet Paw. Scorchfur bristled. Violet Paw's one of us. We're not sheltering them. One Star thrust his muzzle close to the dark gray warrior. That's crazy. Okay, that's crazy to say because she was a kitten at the time of that attack. Like, she was a baby still. And she was still in Shadow Clan at the time. One Star thrust his muzzle close to the dark gray warrior. Even if she's loyal to Shadow Clan, you let others live at the edge of your territory, despite the fact that they are murderers.
half your apprentices left to join them. It just proves what I've always thought. Shadow Clan cats are no better than rogues. You will not gather herbs on my land.
Violet could hardly believe the rage in the Wind Clan leader's mew. What was wrong with him? Was he really gonna let cats die just because of the rogues? Weren't leaders meant to be wise? She saw movement at the corner of her vision and saw Kessler Flight approach. Surely Puddleshine can gather herbs. The Wind Clan medicine cat blinked nervously at his leader. The clans have always allowed medicine cats to gather herbs when lives are at stake. One Star turned on him. No! But our clanmates need... One Star cut Kessler Flight off with a hiss. They will gather no herbs here. His malicious gaze flicked back to Tigerheart. Get off my land. Tigerheart returned his gaze without moving. Go! One Star screeched. Head for the border and don't stop. The moment you leave the camp, I'm sending a patrol after you. If they catch up with you, they'll tear the pelts from your backs. Jesus. Tigerheart shifted his paws. Please, he pleaded softly. Violet stared at the warrior in surprise. He was begging. He must care for his clan more than his own pride. Aww. Leave! One Star's yowl rang around camp. Tigerheart turned, signaling with his tail for the patrol to follow. Violet hurried after him as he headed for the entrance. She could feel Puddleshine crowding her heels and smell his fear. As they emerged from the entrance, Tigerheart broke into a run. Keep up! He called over his shoulder. One Star is out of his mind. The sooner we get out of here, the better. As he raced away from the Wind Clan camp, Violet charged after him. Scorchfur dropped back and fell in behind. Violet felt a rush of gratitude to the Tom. She knew that he was placing himself between her and the Wind Clan patrol that would soon be on their tails. Perhaps he was beginning to accept her at last. I mean, he did say that Violet was one of you. Crazy, crazy. Chapter 15. I think there's 10 more chapters left after chapter 15. Gross. I just ate a candy and it tastes so yucky. But all the other candies in the candy weren't gross. Blech. It kind of tastes like licorice. Ugh. What has life come to? I've been poisoned. Actually, hope not. That's so weird. What the heck? Well, enough of that then. Up to the top. Chapter 15. And then Sparkpelt followed Alderpaw onto the bridge. Spikefur told Yarrowleaf it was nothing to do with ThunderClan and dragged her away from the border before she could tell me anything else. But it is totally to do with us. If WindClan and ShadowClan start fighting, it'll affect all the clans, surely. I guess. Alderpaw patted over the damp bark, trying not to look into the dark water swirling below. But Yarrowleaf might just have been spreading gossip. You can't be sure it was true. Sparkpelt had been chattering about the spat between ShadowClan and WindClan since they'd crossed the RiverClan border. The full moon lit the lake. The trees on the island glowed, their buds pale in its light. He wondered if WindClan and ShadowClan were already waiting at the gathering, and glanced up to check for stray clouds. Would the two clans be able to keep the truce? Or would StarClan cover the moon with clouds to keep the battling clans apart? What if they fought anyway? Elderpaw's mouth grew dry. He jumped onto the beach, pebbles crunching beneath his paws. I can't believe Munstar would drive away a medicine cat asking for herbs. He waited as Sparkpaw jumped down beside him.
Of course he would, Sparkpelt mewed. Everyone knows he's been as crazy as a cockatoo since he lost that life.
Elderpaw frowned. Losing a life did seem to have made the WindClan leader burn with a strange fury, but enough for him to deny help to sick cats? Sparkpaw brushed past him. Hurry up, I can't wait to see what'll happen. She headed into the long grass. Bramblestar and Squirrelflight were ahead, leaving Brightheart, Cloudtail, and Berrynose towards the clearing with Leafpool. Elderpaw glanced over his shoulder. Mole Whisker was coaxing Honeypaw onto the tree bridge. I'll be right behind you, he promised his apprentice. Honeypaw? Oh, this is Mole Whisker. I'll be right behind you, he promised his apprentice. If you slip, I'll grab your scruff. Larkpaw and Leafpaw jostled the far shore, staring eagerly at the tree bridge. Rosepetal nudged them away. Let your sister cross first. Honeypaw's scared of water, Larkpaw teased. Rosepetal glared at her apprentice sternly. Sometimes being afraid is smart. Leafpaw snorted. Warriors aren't meant to be afraid of anything. Bumblestripe nudged her playfully. I'll remind you that next time we smell a fox while we're out training. Leafpaw puffed out her chest. I wasn't being afraid, she sniffed. I was being smart. Bumblestripe and Rosepetal swapped bemused glances. Behind them, Poppyfrost, Graystripe, and Millie waited patiently, while Twigpaw hung back with Ivypool and Dovewing. Hi, Satsu! Elderpaw! Sparkpelt called from the long grass. Come on! WindClan is already here. I can smell them. Elderpaw nosed his way into the dew-soaked grass, following her trail. He opened his mouth, tasting for scents. There was no sign of ShadowClan. He padded into the clearing. Brightheart and Cloudtail were already sharing tongues with Minnowtail and Mallownose. The RiverClan cats were looking sleek again after the long leaf bear. The fish must be teeming in the river once more. WindClan cats skirted the clearing, keeping their distance. They glanced anxiously at one another and then at the other clan cats. Elderpaw's pelt prickled with foreboding. He scanned the clearing for one star. The WindClan leader was pacing beneath the great oak, his pelt rippling along his spine. As ThunderClan arrived, his gaze flashed towards the long grass, sharp with suspicion, as though he was waiting for an ambush. He flinched as Leafpaw, Honeypaw, and Larkpaw raced into the clearing. Nightpaw! Breezepaw! Leafpaw greeted the RiverClan apprentices with a purr and hurried to join them. Larkpaw and Honeypaw followed. Fernpaw and Brindlepaw, the WindClan apprentices, eyed them eagerly but didn't move from their mentor's side. As Sparkpelt headed towards a group of RiverClan warriors, Elderpaw followed Leafpool towards the great oak. Jayfeather had stayed in camp, complaining that if he wanted to spend the night listening to cats bicker, he could sit in the Elder's Den. I love him. Hi again! I did my story time voice, yeah. It's gonna be a weird gathering, Elderpaw murmured softly as he stopped beside her. She followed her gaze towards one star. Tensions are high. Has this happened before? Elderpaw asked. Leafpool sat down. Clans have always fought. But has a clan ever refused to help others treat their sick? Elderpaw blinked at her earnestly. It's been known to happen, she admitted. Did they ever let cats die? Elderpaw shifted his paws uneasily. Warriors and medicine cats think differently, Leafpool sighed. Why? Elderpaw was puzzled. It didn't make sense. If the clans helped one another, then no one needed to suffer. Only StarClan knows. Leafpool gazed across the clearing and changed the subject. Is Twigpaw okay? She was watching the young she-cat, who was sitting alone beside a clump of ferns. I don't know. Elderpaw followed her gaze, his belly prickling with guilt. Twigpaw had hardly spoken to him since he told her that Bramblestar had never sent a search patrol to look for her mother, even though he shared the apprentice's den with her. She would leave her nest by the time he woke and would be curled asleep, or pretending to be asleep, when he settled down for the night. During the day, they were both busy with training, but he noticed how she always took her prey to the far side of the clearing and avoided his gaze when they passed in camp. Rough. Is she upset about something? Leafpool pressed. Elderpaw couldn't explain. Leafpool, like the rest of the clan, believed that the search party had been looking for Twigpaw's mother. She didn't know about SkyClan. He shrugged. I'm not sure. Ivypool says she works hard. Leafpool frowned. She must be committed to the clan. Perhaps she still misses her sister. Perhaps. Leafpool wrapped her tail over her paws. She must be happy to know that Violet Paw's back with ShadowClan. She'll be safer away from those rogues. I guess. The one-word answers he keeps giving her. Oh my god, what's happening? This isn't the gentle, relaxing nature ambience I was listening to. There we go. I guess. Elderpaw wished that he knew what she felt. When Deviling had returned to camp with the news, he'd hurried to congratulate Twigpaw, but Twigpaw had only shrugged and turned away. The clan cats were beginning to glance towards the long grass, shifting impatiently. There was still no sign of ShadowClan. The round white moon was crossing behind the great oak. Had ShadowClan decided not to come? Bramblestar crossed the clearing, nodding to Misty Star as he passed her. The River Clan leader followed him to the oak and climbed the trunk after him. As they settled on the lowest branch, One Star leaped up beside them and took his place, glowering at the cats as they clustered below. Squirrelflight followed, Hairspring and Reed Whisker to the deputy's spots among the roots. Kessler Flight, Mothwing, and Willowshine sat beside Leafpool. Let's begin, Bramblestar called. Misty Star shifted beside him. Should we wait a little longer for ShadowClan? They can join when they arrive. There was impatience in Bramblestar's mew. He lifted his gaze to the gathering cats. I have important news, and if ShadowClan isn't here to share it, then I must. Violetpaw, one of the Star Clan's chosen kids, has returned to ShadowClan. The River Clan cats lifted their gaze happily, ears pricking. Misty Star blinked at Bramblestar. Did ShadowClan rescue her? She returned because she wanted to, Bramblestar told her. One Star's eyes flashed with anger. So she claims. And ShadowClan is fool enough to believe her. What about the other ShadowClan traitors? As far as I know, they're still with the rogues, Bramblestar meowed. Uneasy murmurs rippled through the cats below him. The ThunderClan leader ignored them, but Violetpaw's back. StarClan's prophecy is safe once more. Crowfeather called from the crowd. Are we sure the prophecy is safe? StarClan hasn't confirmed that Violetpaw and Twigpaw are part of it. Misty Star flicked her tail. They haven't told us they're not. Minnowtail called from among the other RiverClan warriors. What else could the prophecy mean? The kids are the only thing we found in the shadows. It could mean SkyClan. Elderpaw swallowed back his frustration. Embrace what you find in the shadows, for only they can clear the sky. The sky had to refer to SkyClan. Even though StarClan hadn't shared with him for moons, he felt sure that SkyClan was crucial to the prophecy. He glanced towards Twigpaw, who was sitting beside Ivypool, her round eyes fixed on the leaders. Of course Twigpaw and Violetpaw might be part of it too, but surely StarClan would not let SkyClan simply disappear. And yet, how could the four clans have a serious conversation about the prophecy when hardly any cat knew about the missing clan? One Star stepped to the edge of the branch, his ears twitching angrily. Why are we wasting our time when there are important matters to discuss? He glared at the clans. A few days ago, a ShadowClan patrol invaded our land with one of the former rogues. Dovewind jerked her head up. It wasn't an invasion. I saw the patrol. It was Puddleshine and Violetpaw, who is a ShadowClan apprentice now. They wanted herbs, not a battle.
Then why send 2 warriors with them? One Star scowled at her. Why send a cat who has aligned herself with those who killed my warriors?
Bramblestar snorted. 2 warriors and an apprentice don't make an invasion. One Star lashed his tail.
They were Shadow Clan, he hissed. For all we know, that apprentice was scouting for her rogue friends. Traitors!
Amberfoot yowled.
Rogue lovers!
Crowfeather hissed.
Oakclaw flattened his ears. Shadow Clan has forgotten what it's like to be a clan.
Hairspring leaped onto an oat root. His pelt bushed.
Half their apprentices live with the rogues.
One Star nodded approvingly at his deputy.
They don't even come to the gathering anymore.
Leafpool padded to the front of the crowd and glared up at the Wind Clan leader.
Stop yowling about Shadow Clan's mistakes and think about your own.
One Star's eyes narrowed to slits. He leaned down towards the ThunderClan medicine cat, hissing,
I have made no mistakes. You denied a valuable herb to a clan in need.
Leafpool hissed back. As she spoke, the grass at the edge of the clearing rustled. Crowfrost was leading his clan into the clearing. They streamed around the other cats, eyes flashing watchfully in the moonlight. Crowfrost pushed through the crowd and climbed onto the great oak. He sat in Rowenstar's place.
Rowenstar has the sickness that has stricken our clan. I will take his place tonight.
Bramblestar and Misty Star dipped their heads to the Shadow Clan deputy as, below them, Cat shifted to make room for his clanmates. Puddleshine sat down beside Willowshine and Mothwing. A low growl rumbled from One Star's throat. Crowfrost ignored it.
Rowenstar would be well now, if One Star had allowed us to gather herbs on his land.
One Star showed his teeth.
Gather your precious herbs somewhere else. No Shadow Clan cat will ever set paw on Wind Clan land again.
Mothwing blinked up at Crowfrost.
What's the herb?
Lugwort, Crowfrost told her. StarClan shared dreams with Puddleshine. Runnynose told him that the sickness is called yellow cough, and that lungwort is the only cure.
Puddleshine had a dream from StarClan!
Willowshine's eyes lit up. Then he truly is a medicine cat. Mothwing shifted stiffly beside her. Okay, for context, those who don't know, Willowshine is Mothwing's apprentice. So Mothwing trained Willowshine, but Mothwing doesn't believe in StarClan, and it's considered half of what the medicine cats do. They heal and they talk to StarClan, but Mothwing doesn't believe in StarClan, and Willowshine knows that Mothwing doesn't believe in StarClan. So the fact that she said that, what a low blow. Oh, there, look. Wait, I just have to keep reading. Okay, wait. Puddleshine had a dream from StarClan. Willowshine's eyes lit up. And he truly is a medicine cat. Mothwing shifted stiffly beside her. Willowshine jerked her nose towards her former mentor, guilt flashing in her gaze.
Of course, that's not the most important part of being a medicine cat,
she mewed quickly. Alderpaw felt a stab of sympathy for Mothwing. But he is ShadowClan's only medicine cat, he murmured. It would be better for them that he can speak with StarClan. Mothwing looked at Puddleshine. What does the herb look like? It has dark green leaves speckled with gray, he told her. I would show you if I could find some, but Runnynose told me it only grows on the moor. Mothwing turned to One Star. May I pick the herb on your land? I'm not a ShadowClan cat. Alderpawn leaned forward. Mothwing's idea was a good one. One Star curled his claws into the oak bark.
Not if the herb is for ShadowClan,
he snarled. Crowfrost's pelt bushed.
2 of our elders are sick. They can't last much longer without the herb,
he snapped at One Star.
Are you determined to see innocent cats die? No ShadowClan cat is innocent,
One Star spat.
You are all sheltering rogues.
Crowfrost flattened his ears. They live outside our territory.
Ivan!
Oh yeah, he's lost it totally. He must be on his last life. I mean, he's really old too.
Welcome back!
How can we be sure? One Star thrust his muzzle close to Crowfrost's. You took Violet Paw back. Can you be sure of her loyalty? And now you're the clan with a sickness you've never seen before. Perhaps the rogues brought it to your clan. Crowfrost held his gaze, hackles rising. Violet Paw is one of us. The rogues are not living with our clan. But your clanmates are living with the rogues! As One Star spat, yowls of agreement rose among the Wind Clan cats. River Clan shifted uneasily, while Thunder Clan cats exchanged anxious glances. Fear spiked through Alderpaw's pelt. The leaders mustn't fight over this. Fighting wouldn't cure any cat. Kessler Flight? He stared at the Wind Clan medicine cat. Surely you won't let clan cats die. Panic sharpened the molten gray Tom's gaze. He glanced at One Star, who was glowering at him, ears flat. I can't betray my clan, he mewed hoarsely. Mothwing touched Alderpaw's shoulder with her tail softly. It's not fair to ask that of him. Of course it's fair. He's a medicine cat, not a warrior. Leafpool bristled beside them. What's not fair is asking innocent cats to die because of one cat's stubbornness. She turned her furious gaze on One Star. One Star stared at her coldly. If ShadowClan drives the rogues away, they can have the herb. Without waiting for a response, he leaped from the oak and pushed his way through the gathered cats. His clanmates joined him, and they stalked through the grass, pelt spiking. I'm sorry. Kessler Flight's whisper made Alderpaw jump. The Wind Clan medicine cat was murmuring in Puddleshine's ear. Before Puddleshine could respond, ooh, setting up a meeting time? The Wind Clan medicine cat hurried away to join his clanmates. Bramblestar's tail drooped over the edge of the branch as he watched Wind Clan leave. Misty Star glanced at the sky. Clouds were trailing across the moon. She turned to Crowfrost. I will send patrols to search River Clan territory for this herb, she offered. But if StarClan has said it is only on the moor, I don't have much hope of finding it. Crowfrost dipped his head gratefully as the River Clan leader jumped down from the branch. Alderpaw blinked at Puddleshine as ThunderClan headed for the tree bridge. Congratulations on your dream. Thank you. Puddleshine dipped his head. I just wish Runny Nose had told me something that had helped us instead of making things worse. He hurried away, following Crowfrost and Tawny Pelt into the shadows. Misty Star had already led her clanmates into the long grass. The clearing was nearly empty. Alderpaw padded to the foot of the great oak and waited for his father to jump down. Could you send a secret patrol to gather lungwort in WindClan's territory? He mewed as Bramblestar landed beside him. Bramblestar padded wearily past him. And what would happen when One Star found out? Alderpaw hurried after him. Who cares about One Star? Frustration rippled through his pelt. Sick cats will die unless we help them. Then ShadowClan must deal with the rogues, Bramblestar meowed simply. Alderpaw blinked eagerly. We could help them. It's not our battle. It's everyone's battle. These are the rogues who drove SkyClan away. So? Bramblestar's shoulders sagged. Don't you care about SkyClan? Why was his father giving up so easily? They may be part of the prophecy. Bramblestar faced him in the deserted clearing. SkyClan is gone, he meowed. The sooner you accept that, the better. Alderpaw watched his father walk away, shock pulsing in his paws. Did Bramblestar really believe that? He glanced at the sky. StarClan, would you really let SkyClan disappear without giving us a chance to save them? Oh! Tragedy! Hi, Troy! Chapter 16. Stretch and hydrate! I missed it. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll do it now. Hi, Concept. Story's good. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Swap door 16. Did you get the buff from the cheese yet? Do you get buff from cheese yet? No, my muscles still has to grow. Right now, I am a slave to the cheese. Both both mentally and physically. It's taking a toll on me as I try to get whipped into shape. Aren't we all? So true. I'm thinking I have to, like, eat or drink protein shakes before work or during work to help, like, my body get used to it. That's what you do when you're working out, right? So, like, I should be eating how I would if I were working out. Assuming. Okay, let me see how long this chapter is. I'm hoping it's a long... 17... Oh, 17 short. Okay, I think I'm gonna read to chapter 18. So 2 more chapters, and then I'll stop. Even though it's only been an hour, but I'm so tired. I'm glad at least that I was able to stream a little bit. Okay, chapter 16. Twigpaw paced the edge of the clearing, her pelt fizzling with excitement. The dawn patrol had already left, and the sun promised warmth as it lifted over the misty forest. Ivypool was in the medicine den, asking Jayfeather for traveling herbs. They would leave soon. She could still hardly believe that Ivypool had suggested they search for her mother. At the gathering last night, Twigpaw had barely heard the clan's bickering. She was tired of their dumb arguments. All any cat seemed to care about was prophecies and rogues. No one cared that her mother might be out there somewhere searching for her lost kids. And then, on the trek back from the island, Ivypool had asked her what was worrying her. Your mind hasn't been on your training for half a moon, she'd mewed softly. Twigpaw had hesitated about confiding in her. Would her mentor think it was selfish to still be worrying about her mother after the clan had done so much for her? But Ivypool had understood. Every cat needs kin, Ivypool had said. One day I hope the clan will feel like your kin. But if you need to find out about your mother, I'll help you. The silver and white she-cat had suggested they set out first thing in the morning. Bramblestar had agreed reluctantly, after Ivypool had promised they'd be careful. Now, as she waited to leave, she listened to Squirrelflight giving orders below the high ledge. Check for rogues sent near the Shadow Clan border. She nodded to Cloudtail and Thornclaw. Poppyfrost and Berrynose can go with you. Can I go too? Fernsong blinked at her eagerly. I haven't been on border patrol for days. Squirrelflight shook her head. I want you to travel with Ivypool and Twigpaw. Will you go? On their mission to find Twigpaw's mother? Fernsong glanced across the clearing at Twigpaw, his eyes sparkling. Of course! Oh my god, Fernsong? I thought this was like one of Fern Pelt's kids. Twigpaw felt a surge of happiness. Fernsong was coming with them! This was turning into a real clan mission, just like the one Bramblestar should have sent in the first place. Squirrelflight frowned. It's a long journey, she warns Fernsong. I want everyone back safely. Cloudtail flicked his tail. Is there any reason in traveling so far? Surely there'll be no traces of Twigpaw's mother now. It's been so long. Ivypool patted from the medicine den as he spoke. She glared at the white warrior. That's her dad. Twigpaw has hope. It's a risk, but what if she's right? We have to look. Poppyfrost tipped her head thoughtfully. But if Squirrelflight's search party didn't find her, how do you hope to? Ivypool fluffed out her fur. The hollow was chilly where the sun hadn't reached yet. Twigpaw might notice something Squirrelflight's party didn't. Twigpaw felt a surge of gratitude towards her mentor. She was glad that there was one cat in this clan who believed in her. She scowled at the medicine den. She still resented Alderpaw for his part in lying about the quest to find her mother. The brambles at the entrance twitched. Alderpaw patted out a bundle of herbs in his jaws. He crossed the clearing and dropped them in front of Twigpaw. Jayfeather says you and Ivypool are to eat all of them. He separated the pile in two. Fernsong's coming with us, Twigpaw told him. He'll need herbs too. Fernsong? Ivypool joined them, surprise lighting her eyes. I thought we were going alone. Squirrelflight just asked him, Twigpaw told her happily. If you don't mind, do you? It'll be like a real mission. Hi, Hound! Of course I don't mind. Ivypool glanced warmly at Fernsong as he headed towards them. Alderpaw frowned. It'll be dangerous. Twigpaw sniffed. You made the journey when you were younger than me. Yes. Alderpaw looked thoughtful. Then his gaze brightened. I should come with you. Twigpaw stared at him. Why? You think my mother's dead? Did he just want to come so he could say, I told you so? Or did he want to justify stealing her from that nest before her mother could return? She pushed the thoughts away. Alderpaw wouldn't do that. I know where the nest was. He gazed hopefully at Ivypool. Hope trembled along Twigpaw's spine. He was right. He could lead them straight to it. Why hadn't she thought of that before? Ivypool blinked at him. It would be great to have you show us the way. Fernsong stepped beside her. When are we leaving? As soon as you and Alderpaw have gotten some traveling herbs from Jayfeather, Ivypool told him. We'll have to make sure he's all right with Alderpaw joining us, too. Alderpaw's coming with us? Fernsong purred. Great! He headed for the medicine den, Alderpaw at his heels. Ivypool caught Twigpaw's eye. Her gaze was somber. Unease prickled Twigpaw's belly. You know we may not find anything, right? Ivypool warned. Twigpaw swallowed. Yes. But at least I'll know I tried, she thought. I'll know somebody tried. She reached down and lapped up the leaves, wrinkling her nose as their bitterness shriveled on her tongue. Ivypool shuddered and licked her lips, finishing her pile. Well, we'll have plenty of energy. Fernsong and Alderpaw hurried from the nursery. Alderpaw looked pleased. Jayfeather says it's all right for me to go. Fernsong's pelt was prickling. Traveling herbs are the worst. He stuck out his tongue. Ivypool purred and nudged him towards the entrance. Hopefully they'll give you enough strength to protect us. That is why you're coming, isn't it? There was a tease in her mew. Oh my god. Fernsong looked at her, whiskers twitching. I was hoping you'd protect me. Oh my god! If you're nice to me, I might. Ivypool purred. Oh my gosh. The warriors headed for the entrance, their pelts brushing amably? Oh my god. That was romantic. I love a boy who knows his place. Considering Ivypool is easily the strongest cat in the clan after Lion Blaze. Twigpaw followed, feeling awkward beside Alderpaw. It had been so long since they'd spoken properly. It would be weird traveling with him. How long will it take to get there? She asked, avoiding his gaze. We should reach the Thunderpath tomorrow if we keep moving. Twigpaw felt suddenly daunted. Will we have to travel all night? We'll find somewhere to rest tonight. Alderpaw ducked through the entrance, and if we wake early, we'll be there before sunhigh tomorrow. Twigpaw followed, half excited, half anxious. She followed Alderpaw up the rise that led towards the lake. The ground squelched beneath her paws. New leaf warmth was slowly softening the forest. Green buds clung in a haze to the trees, and beyond them stretched a pale blue sky. I hope we find her, Twigpaw. Alderpaw's mew was gentle as he waited for her to catch up. She blinked at him and saw warmth in his eyes. He really means it. The anger that had sat like ice in her belly for half a moon began to melt. So do I. Twigpaw's paws ached as she followed Fernsong and Ivypool from the trees. Since yesterday, they'd crossed hills and meadows, tracked rivers, and skirted two-leg nests. They'd slept through the coldest part of the night in a sheltered hollow. Now, at last... They were close. She winced as bright sunlight bathed her face. Alderpaw stopped beside her and nodded towards the bottom of the long slope in front of them. The wide thunderpath cut through the valley, snaking along the bottom like a stinking river. We found you down there. Near the thunderpath? Twigpaw blinked. She'd never seen a thunderpath before. Not that she could remember, anyway. The noise and smell made her shrink back. Monsters roared along it, the sun flashing on their shiny pelts. Yes. Alderpaw frowned. Ivypool and Fernsong paced the top of the slope, their pelts twitching nervously. Should we go down there? Of course! Twigpaw flattened her ears against the sound of the thunderpath and padded forward. I want to see the nest! She'd heard how Alderpaw and Needletail had plucked her and Violetpaw from a nest hidden in the shadows. Perhaps some trace of her mother's scent lingered there, a trace they could track. Ivypool hesitated. Fernsong looked at her. We've come this far, he meowed. We might as well go all the way. But the monsters... Ivypool stared at them nervously. What if they leave the path? Fernsong whisked his tail. They never leave the path, he meowed. Monsters may be big and loud, but they are bee-brained. Twigpaw flicked her tail. Warriors weren't supposed to be scared. She hurried forward, her heart quickening as she scanned the slope for some sign of a nest. Alderpaw hurried to catch up to her. We have to go underneath it. Underneath? Twigpaw looked at him, shocked. There's a tunnel. It's not very... The sound of the monsters drowned his mew. Twigpaw could feel their heat as they neared. She raised her voice. Where's the entrance? Alderpaw scanned the edge of the thunderpath, frowning for a moment. Then he nodded towards a small shadowy hollow, where the side of the thunderpath dropped into a ditch. There it is! Excitement surged in Twigpaw's belly. She broke into a run, ignoring the acid wind from the monsters, which tore through her fur. She leaped into the ditch. Pebbles lined it, jabbing her paws. She hurried along it until she reached the shadowy hollow. A huge monster screamed past. She screwed up her eyes as the grit sprayed her. Alderpaw landed beside her, leaning over her. He shielded her as another monster streaked past. Paw steps crunched behind them. Ivypool and Fernsong were hurrying along the ditch towards them. Is this it? Ivypool blinked at the hole in the side of the ditch. Smooth, dark sticks crisscrossed it. Twigpaw peered between them. The scent of dank stone and sour water filled her nose. She sniffed nervously, straining to see through the darkness. As her eyes grew accustomed to the gloom, she could see twigs littering the bottom of the tunnel. Water pooled there, gleaming as it stretched into the distance. Pale light showed at the far end. Something skittered there. A rat? Alderpaw crouched close beside her. Are you okay? Yes, Twigpaw swallowed. She realized that her pelt was bristling as she struggled to remember this place. Was this really where her mother had left them? Sadness twisted her heart. What a terrible place for a nursery. She thought of the bramble den back at camp, where countless queens had raised litters in warmth and safety. What had driven her mother to this? She stuck her head between the sticks and squeezed through them. Foul-smelling water soaked her paws. The skittering paw steps sounded again, echoing along the stone walls of the tunnel. Picking her way among the debris, Twigpaw sniffed. She tried desperately to smell some trace of her mother through the stench, but nothing remained except the scent of monsters and rats. Alderpaw squeezed after her, while Fernsong and Ivypool crouched at the opening, their eyes wide as they peered through. The nest must have been washed away, Alderpaw guessed. Twigpaw blinked at him through the darkness. Sorrow tugged at her heart. Why did she leave us here? Surely she had no choice. Alderpaw's eyes glinted in the shadows. Twigpaw glanced around. I see why you took us now. Suddenly, she understood that Alderpaw couldn't have left her and Violetpaw here. If cold or hunger hadn't killed them, rats might have. But hope still pricked in her heart. I wonder where she went. Without waiting for a response, she pushed past Alderpaw and slid back through the crisscross sticks. Flattening her ears against the monster's roar, she glanced along the ditch. She tried to imagine what her mother had been thinking when she left the nest. She must have gone looking for food. Had she gotten lost? Had she forgotten her way back to the tunnel? Twigpaw nosed past Ivy Pool and Fernsong and headed along the ditch. She climbed into the slope and towards a swath of long grass. Mice would be there, right? Her mother might have followed this path, guessing the same. Twigpaw! Ivypool called after her. Twigpaw glanced back. The silver and white she-cat was hurrying after her, Fernsong and Elderpaw on her heels. Wait for us! She caught up to her, puffing. I have to figure out where my mother went. Twigpaw mewed urgently. Ivypool gazed at her sympathetically. But it was moons ago, Twigpaw. You can't hope to find a trace of her. Fernsong stopped beside her. The leaf bear's snows would have washed any sense away. Twigpaw stared at them, panic opening like a whirlpool in her belly. White fur caught her eye. She glanced past them. A cat was on the thunder path. It sat, motionless, in the middle as monsters thundered past it. Look! Ivypool snapped her head around, following her gaze. What in StarClan? Fernsong's mouth gaped open as he saw the stranded cat. Why isn't she trying to run away? Twigpaw hardly heard Ivypool's gasp. She hared down the slope. We have to save her! She tore towards the thunder path, desperation driving her on. What if that was her mother? She leaped over the ditch, her paws hitting the thunder path as a monster howled past, a tail length from her nose. Her gaze flicked across the stretch of gray stone. If she could dodge the monsters, she could reach the cat and guide her to safety. Her thoughts whirled. Blood pounded in her ears. She glanced back and forth, searching for a gap and race through. Suddenly, claws gripped her pelt. Her paws scratched over the stone as someone jerked her backwards. Teeth sank into her scruff as the ditch opened below her, and Ivypool hauled her down into its shelter. What in StarClan do you think you're doing? Ivypool stared at her. Fernsong landed beside them, his pelt bushed. Do you want to get yourself killed? What about the cat? Twigpaw wailed above the monsters. She reared onto her hind legs, peering over the edge. A bright red monster, far bigger than the rest, pounded towards the helpless cat. Run! She shrieked. The shriek tore from Twigpaw's throat, but the cat didn't move. Horror shrilled through Twigpaw as the red monster hurled over it. She stared in disbelief as the cat disappeared. They killed her. The words caught in her throat. Ivypool hopped onto the edge of the thunder path and stared across it. Twigpaw jumped up beside her, her heart pounding as she scanned the stone for blood, but there was none. All that was left of the cat was white fluff, tossed in the wake of the monsters like thistledown. Twigpaw stared at it. That cat wasn't real. Her murmur was swept away as another monster tore past. Ivypool nudged her down into the ditch. It must have been some two-legged trick, she meowed, as they landed with a crunch on the pebbles. Fernsong blinked at them. Let's get out of here. Twigpaw stared at him, hardly hearing. She felt frozen. That could have been her mother. Realization swept over her like an icy wind. How could her mother still be alive? She'd had kids to feed. She'd had to hunt. She would have had to cross the thunder path countless times. She was probably hit, like that lifeless ball of fluff by a monster. Why else would she have not returned to their nest? Certainty sat in Twigpaw's belly like a stone. Her mother was dead. Come on. Elderpaw's soft mew sounded in her ear. She felt his warm muzzle nudging her forward. Numbly, she let him guide her out of the ditch and back up the slope. She was dimly aware of Ivypool and Fernsong moving beside them. Her heart ached with every paw step, and then shadow swallowed her. She blinked, realizing they were among the trees once more. She met Elderpaw's gaze. I know she's dead now, she murmured hoarsely. Let's go home. Aww. Chapter 17. Violet Paw rolled over in her nest, half waking as fur brushed the door of her den. Through a mist of sleep, she wondered if she'd slept late, and Dawn Pelt had come to wake her. Sorry, wait, let me reread that. I read it and I did not read anything in my head. Violet Paw rolled over in her nest, half waking as fur brushed the door of the den. Through a mist of sleep, she wondered if she'd slept late and Dawn Pelt had come to wake her. She half opened her eyes and, seeing it was still dark, decided that she must have dreamed it. She let sleep drag her into blackness once more. Violet Paw! A hiss beside her ear made her leap to her paws. Who is it? Shock pulsed through her as she smelled unfamiliar scent. This wasn't a Shadow Clan cat. She could make out the shape of a young she-cat in the gloom. It's me! The voice hissed again. Twigpaw! Violet Paw froze. What in StarClan are you doing here? I had to see you. Violet Paw looked around, alarm spiking her pelt. Thanks StarClan, Whirl Kit, Flower Kit, and Snake Kit hadn't been made apprentices yet. She had the den to herself. You can't be here, she whispered anxiously. If someone finds you, we're both in trouble. Her clan was just starting to accept her. She couldn't be found with a ThunderClan cat. She nudged Twigpaw towards the entrance, but her nose wrinkled as she smelled ThunderClan's scent on her sister's pelt. But I have to talk to you. Twigpaw dug her paws in. Violet Paw shoved her harder. Not here! She bundled Twigpaw from the den and hurried towards the shadow at the edge of the clearing. This way! Her gaze darted nervously around the camp. Snores sounded from the dens. Nothing moved apart from Twigpaw, pale in the moonlight. Hurry! Violet Paw led the way quickly and quietly to the dirt paste tunnel. She turned. Twigpaw wasn't following. Her sister stood beside the camp wall, her eyes flashing in the darkness. What are you doing? Violet Paw demanded. Did Twigpaw want to get in trouble? Just another board dude. Daily dose of submarine facts. One of the German submarines, U-1206 to be exact, sunk because someone used the toilet wrong. What the heck? How did they use it wrong? I need the details now. Also, I'm doing good, Troy. I hope you are too. I went to find our mother, Twigpaw hissed. She's gone. She's dead. You were right. Violet's Paw stared at her. Of course she's dead. Why else would she have abandoned us? Did you come just to tell me that? She saw pain glitter in Twigpaw's eyes. Frustration welled in her chest. What did Twigpaw want from her? I'm sorry, but don't expect me to be surprised. She glanced nervously around the camp. The stench of ThunderClan cat was bound to wake someone soon. Look, she growled. I know you're upset, but you've got to get out of here. Don't you care? Twigpaw stared at her, still not moving. Violet Paw's pelt spiked. Were her dumb sister's paws rooted to the ground? What difference does it make? She reasoned. We're not kits anymore. We're apprentices. We're gonna be warriors. We have homes and clanmates. But we don't have kin, Twigpaw whispered. Only each other. We have to stick together. Twigpaw was making even less sense. You want to join the Shadow Clan? Of course not, Twigpaw snapped. I just want to see you. I wanted to know that you're here for me. Violet Paw narrowed her eyes, bewildered. Of course I'm here for you, but you're in ThunderClan. Paw steps brush the earth nearby. Who's there? Violet Paw's heart leaped into her throat as she recognized her mentor's mew. Dawn Pelt was skirting the camp wall, making her way from the warrior's den. Her cream pelt glowed in the moonlight. Quick! Quick! Violet Paw motioned Twigpaw towards the dirt paste tunnel with a flick of her nose, but Twigpaw was staring at Dawn Pelt, her eyes wide with fear. Violet Paw pressed back a growl. Was Twigpaw totally mouse-brained? Did she really think she could stand arguing in another clan's camp without being noticed? Violet Paw hurried towards Dawn Pelt. Hi, she mewed, trying to sound innocent. Perhaps Dawn Pelt hadn't noticed Twigpaw. But Dawn Pelt looked past her, her ears flattening. I smell ThunderClan, she growled. Who's there? She pushed past Violet Paw and patted towards Twigpaw. It's just me. Twigpaw's mew sounded small. I had to see Violet Paw. It wasn't her fault. I sneaked in and woke her up. She was trying to get rid of me. She shot a reproachful look at Violet Paw. Violet Paw rolled her eyes. What did she expect? Her clanmates had been right all along. ThunderClan cats were frog-brained. Dunpelt paced around Twigpaw, her hackles lifted. Did you come to spy on us? No! Twigpaw sounded offended. I told you. I had to speak with Violet Paw. What about? Dunpelt stopped a whisker from her nose and glared at her. About our mother, Twigpaw told her. She's dead. Dunpelt flashed a look at Violet Paw. Is that news? Violet Paw patted forward, sighing. It's news to Twigpaw. She stopped beside her mentor, feeling a sudden wave of pity for her littermate. She was hoping our mother was still alive. Dunpelt sniffed Twigpaw warily. What changed your mind? I went searching for her. Twigpaw sounded forlorn. I saw the thunder path where she'd made our nest. When I saw the monsters, I knew one of them must have killed her. Give her a break. Violet Paw mewed softly. She didn't mean any harm. Dunpelt narrowed her eyes thoughtfully. She just can't come here every time she wants to tell you something. It was something important. Twigpaw lifted her chin. You thought it was important, Dunpelt growled. That doesn't mean everyone agrees. You're as arrogant as your clanmates. Don't criticize my sister. Violet Paw glared at Dunpelt. Just let her go home. No one needs to ever know she came. A voice sounded from the clearing. It's a bit late for that. Violet Paw stiffened. Tawny Pelt was staring at them, the fur spiking along her spine. Scorched Fur and Yarrow Leaf padded sleepily from the warrior's den. Snowbird and Tiger Heart followed. Kink Fur peeked from the elder's den. Whirlkit and Flower Kit tumbled out of the nursery. Even the kits? Their eyes widening as they saw Twigpaw. Invasion! Whirlkit dashed across the clearing, yowling loudly. Grassheart darted from her den, panic lighting her eyes. She wrapped her tail around Flowerkit and stared at Whirlkit as he harried around the clearing, his fur fluffed out excitedly. Violet Paw shrank inside her pelt as Crowfrost padded sleepily from his den. What happened? What happened? He blinked at the moonlight, his gaze widening as it reached Twigpaw. Dunpelt lifted her tail. A ThunderClan apprentice has found her way into our camp. Twigpaw. Crowfrost looked relieved as he saw Twigpaw standing alone in the clearing. He put out a paw to stop Whirlkit as the young Tom hared towards him. Go back to your mother, he ordered, as Whirlkit trudged reluctantly towards Grassheart. Crowfrost turned back towards Dunpelt. Is it just Twigpaw? Dunpelt nodded. She wanted to speak with Violet Paw. Crowfrost's gaze flashed warily to Violet Paw. Why? Dunpelt shook her head warily. Some nonsense about their mother. Nothing important. Violet Paw saw Twigpaw draw herself up indignantly. She guessed Twigpaw was about to tell the ShadowClan deputy that her mother was very important. I'm sorry. Violet Paw butted in quickly. It won't happen again. Twigpaw made a mistake, that's all. Scorchfur let out a low growl. How do we know Violet Paw didn't invite her here? He snarled. Perhaps she's planning to invite the Rose here nest. That's not fair. Violet Paw lashed her tail. She'd worked hard to be accepted. How could they distrust her so easily? Twigpaw stepped forward, puffing out her chest. My sister would never betray anyone like that. Scorchfur scowled at the ThunderClan apprentice. And yet, you're here. Crowfrost padded heavily across the clearing. Clearly, these young cats have made a mistake, but there's no harm done. He looked sternly at Twigpaw. You can't come here to visit your sister, understand? If you need to speak with her, wait for a gathering. You may be kin, but you live in a different clan now. Twigpaw blinked at him anxiously. But what if it's important? Then speak to Bramblestar about it, he told her. He'll know the proper way to behave. Twigpaw hung her head. I'm sorry, she murmured. Twigpaw's sadness touched Violet Paw's heart. She blinked sympathetically at her sister. Twigpaw hadn't meant any harm. Crowfrost beckoned to Snowbird and Tigerheart with a flick of his tail. Take this apprentice back to her clan. Speak to Bramblestar and make sure he doesn't let it happen again. Tigerheart nodded and headed towards Twigpaw. Snowbird followed at his heel. Wait! Scorchfur's growl made Violet Paw jump. Scorchfur padded across the clearing and stopped beside Crowfrost. We have six cats in our clan, he meowed. His gaze was sly. Crowfrost narrowed his eyes. Yes? And we need WindClan to let us have the herb. Violet Paw's paws prickled nervously as Scorchfur went on. What's the old fleabag up to? But WindClan won't help us. Scorchfur looked around his clanmates meaningfully. None of the clans will help us, but perhaps we could use this opportunity to persuade them to help us. Dawnpelt looked confused. How? Crowfrost's gaze sharpened. You mean we should persuade ThunderClan to help us? He glanced pointedly at Twigpaw. Violetpaw stepped forward, anxiety rippling through her fur. What are you talking about? Was Twigpaw in danger? Crowfrost must have sensed her panic. Don't worry, no one's gonna hurt your sister, but she's gonna stay with us a while so that we can reason with Bramblestar. A hostage? Violetpaw gasped. You're gonna use her as a hostage? Tawnypelt shifted her paws. It makes sense, Violetpaw. ThunderClan and WindClan have always had a special relationship. ThunderClan has saved WindClan more than once. If we can't persuade WindClan to give us the herb, perhaps ThunderClan can. Give the right incentive. Scorchfur's eyes lit with malice as he looked at Twigpaw. Crowfrost flicked his tail. I think Rowenstar would agree if he were well enough. No harm will come to Twigpaw while she's here with us. He gazed around at his clanmates. She will be treated as one of our own, but she will remain here until WindClan give us Lungwort. Violetpaw stared at Twigpaw, her belly tightening as she saw fear flash in her sister's eyes. She hurried to stand beside her, letting her pelt brush Twigpaw's. It's okay, she whispered. I won't let anyone hurt you. If Crowfrost says you'll be safe, you'll be safe. Twigpaw blinked at her gratefully. Take her to your den, Crowfrost told Violetpaw. He nodded to Tigerheart. Stand guard until dawn. Then Tawnypelt can take over. Twigpaw must not be left alone while she's with us. He gave a warning stare to his clanmates. She is our best chance of securing the cure for the sickness. I will send a patrol to speak with Bramblestar in the morning. Ripples of agreement sounded around the clearing. Violetpaw nudged Twigpaw towards the apprentice den. Twigpaw padded stiffly in front of her and ducked inside. Violetpaw followed, relieved to be away from the eyes of her clan. I said you shouldn't have come here! Irritation prickled through her pelt as she stared at her sister. She felt sorry for Twigpaw's predicament, but it was her own fault. Twigpaw's shoulders drooped. What will Bramblestar say when the Shadow Clan Patrol tells him what happened? I'm such a mouse brain. She sounded so sad that Violetpaw's anger melted. She touched her nose to her sister's cheek. You are a mouse brain, she teased softly, but your heart's in the right place. Twigpaw leaned against her warily. Come on. Violetpaw nosed her into her nest. You must be tired. Let's get some rest. Twigpaw climbed into the moss-lined break-in and sat down. Violetpaw curled around her. It'll be okay, she promised. Perhaps this is the best way to get WindClan to help us. You're doing ShadowClan a favor. If WindClan gives us the herb and our clanmates get cured, it'll be because of you. Twigpaw lifted her gaze towards Violetpaw. Hopefully. It will, won't it? Violetpaw purred. I bet your clanmates won't mind if they know you're saving lives. Alderpaw will be pleased. Twigpaw slowly lay beside her sister. Jayfeather will think I'm a bee-brain, but he always has, so that won't be different. I love Jayfeather. Get some sleep and try not to worry. Happiness suddenly infused Violetpaw's pelt. She'd never had the chance to comfort another cat before. It warmed her to feel Twigpaw relax beside her. She watched her sister yawn. I guess I am tired, Twigpaw mewed. I haven't slept all night. Sleep now then, Violetpaw urged gently. Everything will look better in the morning. It always does. As Twigpaw rested her nose on her paws, Violetpaw curled tighter around her. It felt good to share her nest with her littermate. Sensing the soft warmth of Twigpaw seeping through her pelt, she closed her eyes. Purring quietly, she let herself drift back into sleep. Yahoo! We did it. I did it. I did it, everyone! I read! and sleepy. And my body hurts and I smell like cheese. I did it anyways. And now I'm very hot and I think I'm gonna go take a shower and perhaps play on my phone or watch a movie. I did it! And it was fun and I'm glad I did. I think I'm starting to get an idea of how my schedule might be looking in the future. I think I'll be able to stream on Mondays, not on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, not on Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays. Unless I'm doing something on one of those days otherwise. So Tuesday, Friday days off? I think that's how it'll be. Until further notice. Until I change my mind. Until it takes over my soul. Alright. Alright, my sweet little Papa Cubs. Let me... do whatever. You guys also have to rest, okay? Promise me. Promise me. We're gonna raid... We'll raid Royale Milk. Royale Milk. No. Thanks. Nice. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. I'll tell you how I've been. If I'm alive, if I'm not alive. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I love you. Remember? Seeing the good in things is a good thing.